During the 70s and 80s, the combat sports scene in Japan was dominated by karate. As a spectator sport, it was built for those who appreciated the discipline and focus of the participants and its long-standing tradition within Japanese culture. For those who liked watching fighters try and kick each other's teeth in, well, it wasn't the most enjoyable. Karate was criticized for being methodical, slow, and one-dimensional, as punches weren't even part of the sport. So in 1991, when the Karate World Cup was introduced in Japan, a slight modification to the rules was implemented. If a winner wasn't determined in the karate rounds, then in the tie-breaking round, participants would put gloves on and punches became legalized strikes. These tie-breaking rounds would produce some of the most exciting action Japanese combat fans had ever seen. The added element of boxing helped increase the pace and intensity of the fights and gave Japanese promoters an idea. In 1993, K1 launched. Its namesake referred to the variety of striking arts beginning with the letter K, and the singular rule set these styles would compete under. Though K1 kickboxing rules naturally created a more exciting product, something else was needed to truly capture the attention of the Japanese masses. In Japanese culture, a great appreciation exists for the underdog and the spirit of a challenge. Therefore, K1 promoters looked to create a competitive format that simultaneously presented great obstacles to all competitors and allowed underdogs a chance to shine. Thus, the K1 Heavyweight World Grand Prix was born. The K1 Heavyweight World Grand Prix was a one-night tournament featuring 8 of the top heavyweights on the roster. The winner would have to defeat 3 opponents in that night in order to be crowned champion. Not only did the tournament produce must-see fights, but it was also accompanied by drama, controversy, shocking upsets, brewing rivalries between fighters, and unique storylines every year it took place. The Japanese masses were hooked. By the late 1990s, the K1 World Grand Prix sold out stadiums in Tokyo. Over the next decade, the Grand Prix would become one of the premier sporting events in the world. Names such as Andy Hoog, Ernesto Hoost, Peter Arts, Remy Bonyaski, Semi Schill, Badr Hari, and Alistair Overeem utilized the platform of the Grand Prix to become legends in the sport. However, at the conclusion of the 2000s, the culture of the sport began to change. As K1's days became numbered, the sport shifted to the modern era under the Glory Kickboxing banner in 2012. Many of the K1 greats would say their goodbyes, and a new wave of heavyweights began to take over. While heavyweight tournaments have occurred through Glory's history, they haven't been instrumental telling the story of the modern era of heavyweight kickboxing. That story begins and ends with the Glory heavyweight title, and specifically the man who has held it for the last 10 years, Rico Verhoeven. Unlike the legends of the K1 era, Verhoeven's greatness isn't defined by his success in multiple one-night tournaments, but rather by his body of work over the course of a decade, dismantling every contender thrown in his way. Though Verhoeven remains kickboxing's undisputed king, he is currently sidelined due to injury, and the heavyweight title is on hold. Therefore, Glory decided now was the perfect time to bring back an old staple of the sport, the Heavyweight Grand Prix. Launching in December of 2023, participants will look to earn their spot in the Glory Grand Prix throughout the year by competing against each other in various qualifiers and tournaments. On April 29th at Glory 85, the road to the Glory Grand Prix will officially begin as Tariq Asaro, Jafar Wilness, Luis Tavares, and Enver Shlivar will battle in a one-night 4-man tournament to determine who will secure the first berth in the Glory Grand Prix. The next era of heavyweight kickboxing is here. Paying homage to the past, the stars of today will continue to shine, while the next generation will look to make their mark.